All right, peace and greetings. What's good? It's Naya here. We're back for part 2 of working through the opening of the key spread in the back of the Book of Thoth book. Okay. So for the second operation, it's the development of the question, is how he says it. It says shuffle and invoke suitably, and let the querent cut the cards as previous. And then you want to deal the cards into 12 stacks for the 12 astrological houses of heaven, which are the 12 houses. So, and then it says make up your mind on which stack you ought to find the significator card, and the 7th house if the question concerns marriage and so forth. So knowing your astrological houses in this case is going to be beneficial to you, because you'll know what area of life would fall within the scope of like the tetragrammaton. So obviously those are like elemental in nature, so you would kind of have something similar. So the way that I like to think about the opening of the key, hold on one second, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 and 12. Okay, so those are my 12 stacks. All right. So what was I saying? Oh, I lost my train of thought. All right, I'm gonna just keep dealing these out while I talk. So basically, I guess this is a good opportunity for me to talk about tarot and astrology. So here's one spread, the astrological houses spread, that you can really get a firm foundation to your astrological definitions as to what each house represents. And also to keep in mind that when you're looking at an astrology chart, the houses themselves, they're stationary. They never move. They're always in the same place. So it's easier to hold that in mind when you're looking at an astrological chart, because like, okay, you're concerned about what area of life, and then you can look to that house and see what energies are working in that house via planet and sign, and then you can get even more detail with aspects and things like that. So that's just a little tip from me to you about it. All right, so here we have our stacks, which are not like the prettiest, but it is what it is. All right, so in the case of my significator card, if you watch the first part of the OOTK, the first operation that I did earlier in this little series that I have, you'll know that it came up in the vowel stack, or the swords or air stack. It was about troubles and worries, and it came up that I did have somebody who passed away. So ideally, instinctively, from my astrological knowledge, I would want to look to the 8th house, because the 8th house usually deals with occult and death and things like that. So I'm going to check to see if my significator is there. Okay, so we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So here's the 8th stack. So she's not in there. Okay, now he says if the significator is not there, try some cognate houses. On second failure, abandon the divination. Again, with the abandoning of the divination, I don't know what that's all about. Maybe it was a calm back then to do it, but I get it. Okay, so if it's not in the 8th house, okay, let me think about this. Because the first house is the house of the self, right? It's related to Aries. Okay, so here's this 1-to-1 correlation. The houses are areas of life, but the zodiac signs are almost like the verb, or like the energy, the action. So when you'll understand, because the next operation is to do this again, but via the zodiac signs, so it's not exactly the same. It works a little bit different, but I'll explain. So money and resources, short travel, cousins, brothers, sisters, home. She could be in the home pile. Creativity, kids, work, relationships, philosophy, long-term travel, work and career. All right, I'm thinking she's maybe in one of these other 2 water houses, either in the home or in the 12th house of kind of release and stuff. So let's check this one and see if she's in here. No, she's not in there. And she's not in there either. Okay. So basically, let's say you would have gotten that hit right away. It would have been like, it would have been like almost like this revelation, like, oh, it's in there. You know what I mean? No, not in there either. Where would you be? Is it that I have to travel to go see her? Let me see. Nope, she's not in there either. All right. Well, see, in a case like this, I would probably abandon it, because I kind of already got my answer with the first operation. I know what's going on, you know what I mean? But I'm so curious to know where this queen is, though. So let's look. See if I can find her, huh? Because then that I can add to the story or the question, really. Okay, not in there. Not in there. Wow, okay. Really? Okay. So she has to be in this stack then. Yep. She's in the stack of the 10th house, which is Capricorn. Okay, I guess that makes sense too. The 10th house is your house about it's about career and like long-term projects and things like that. It really doesn't have too much to do with what I discussed in the first operation, but in this case here, now I'm gonna remove everything else because we already know. Sorry, we already know, right? So here we have these guys. These are the cards that came up in that stack. So with it being about the 10th house and being about, it says work. All right, so here we are at the second operation, right? We're looking at this spread through the function, through the area of life regarding work, career, and long-term projects. Now, how does that even work with what I said in the first part of my reading? I personally feel like what this means is there's just going to be more work for us to do in terms of, you know, like the way the family will react to it and whatnot. Okay. So of course we have the Queen of Discs here, the significator. I wouldn't do any counting because there's not that many cards since it was broken down into smaller piles than like the first operation was. But here we have this luxury the four of cups, excuse me. We have the Four of Cups, and where the Four of Cups, there is this sense of kind of like almost laziness, not want to do things because you kind of have everything. You feel like you have everything. Like getting more is not necessarily going to help. You know, I don't know. It's like, let's see, in terms of work, it's kind of like maybe I feel like I don't have to do as much because I have enough people around to take care of all of that stuff. You know, so it could be that. And then here we have the next card is the Four of Swords, you know, which is about contemplation and resting and stuff like that. But then we have the Fool, because right, what do I do next? What do we do next? What does this mean? When somebody loses somebody, you know, it's always difficult, but the biggest question is always like, but how do we move forward from here? What do we do next? How do we find peace? How do we find a truce to dealing with that? You know what I mean? And then ultimately you just have to keep moving forward, which is right here with the Two of Wands. Is ultimately you have to just keep moving forward. Suffice to say, you have to kind of cut your losses and find a way to move on. You know, being lost in thought, illusions, maybe having more profound dreams. I'm a personal believer that ancestors talk to you through your dreams sometimes, and so, you know, maybe there's a higher chance that this might be the case coming up soon. And this is all personal, emotional work. I feel like it's the processing of the situation. That's what I feel like this is suggesting to me. It's the work that I need to put in. You know, what am I not, I feel like with the Four of Cups, it's like kind of like, what am I not seeing? What am I not grasping here? Right? And then the Four of Swords is kind of saying, hey, you know, maybe you just need to sleep on it. Try not to, you know, just chill. But like at some point after you've done processing it, you have to get over it. You have to move forward and find a way to move forward, and maybe do some dream work or some path working or something to that effect, right? So this is that build on from the first. It's about me working through it. And it did come up in the 10th house, my significator. So it is about work and career, but it's, you know, there is room about it. It's not about the career part. It's about the working through it part, working on it in the bigger scheme, not the day-to-day kind of work, but like the longer term process of dealing with grief, dealing with loss. You know what I mean? So that's the second operation. So now we'll go ahead and move to the third one. See you on the next video.